All right, here's a quick flow on a Reddit or answering a question I saw on Reddit. I'll link the thread in the description to this video. So the question was how to update a contact record when a contact was related to a quote in Salesforce. Now, I have some questions on this one to begin with anyway, because uh, I would need to understand like what field or what type of detail we're trying to track on a contact with a checkbox. Because let's say you were trying to automatically check off a checkbox on a contact, so you could run a report and say, "I want to find all quote contacts." You could actually just create a custom report type where you can pull details from the contact itself. So you can create a report type called like quote with contacts, add the custom contact fields or whatever details you're looking for on that report, and then report off contacts that way. But I went ahead and built this flow to post on that Reddit thread. It's just another chance to work with Flow and update related records. So the first thing I'm starting with here is a record triggered flow on the quote record. So the first thing you'll want to do here is make sure that it's on actions and related records, since we're trying to update something that's on the contact object, not the quote object. I don't have any criteria for anything to enter this flow quite yet. So the first thing I do is create a decision. My decision is going to say the quote contact is not blank. And I'm actually checking two criterias here. I'm saying the record dot contact ID, so the record that entered the flow uh, is the contact is changed, so that has to be true. Has to change from either blank to a value or from one contact to another. And then the contact ID is not null. So if I have a contact and I clear that contact out, I don't want this flow to fire. I only want the flow to fire when it's updated to a contact, not when the value is cleared. So if both of these criteria are met, then the default outcome, or if none of those criteria is met, or you know what I mean. If not all, then it'll come down here and just end the flow. Let me zoom out a little bit so it's easier to navigate. So if both of those criteria happen, the ID is changed and it's not blank, then we're going to get the contact record. So all we're doing here is getting a contact. We're going to look at the ID field and pull the contact ID from our current record. We're going to only store the first record, and we're going to store all field values. The second thing we're going to do here is check for if the checkbox is already checked off. We don't want to just create automation to continuously repeat updates that have already happened. So we're going to check, is this contact already a quote unquote quote contact, or is it not? So if I go into this decision, you can see that I have the quote contact field on the get quote, or the quote that I just got on my get quote action, and I'm just making sure that that field is false. That is just a checkbox field a custom checkbox field in the contact that I created. Perfect. So if it isn't false, if it's already true, the flow is just going to finish. If it is not a quote contact, then we're going to assign the quote contact field value as true, and then we're going to go ahead and update our quote contact. So let's go ahead and test this out. Just going to go over to sales. I don't think I have a contact here in the system already as a test environment, so I'm just going to say, let's, create myself. Great. So I've added a contact to this quote. Now, if I come over to details, you see that the quote contact is checked off. So that's an example of how to build this out in Flow. Obviously, I have some questions for what's the overall intent. I hope this video helps out. And again, I'm going to link the Reddit thread in the description if anyone else wants to follow along or they have a similar question.